was that Penn State game. You guys got the ball and Jeremiah catch a lot early. He had 4 catches and a touchdown. You guys like to try to get him involved early, but is there also something to getting him the ball as much as you can to see how the defense and the way that defense adjusts to Jeremiah and kind of how that opens things up?
Well, we're always trying to find the way to get the ball to our playmakers, certainly Jeremiah, but then there's also a balance of making sure, you're doing, what makes sense to move the ball down the field. But, we're always trying to identify early on what everybody's plan is. It's usually not just what they do. It's usually something different, but whatever that is, and then we try to adjust from there along the way, trying to make sure that we're intentional about how, we spread the ball around.
The back here, Steve Howagner.
Hey, Coach. Way in the back. Purdue's record 2-7 doesn't look that great, but the last 2 games lost by 3 to Rutgers and 5 to Michigan. Just what are they doing to be that much more competitive? And it feels like they're ready to break through at some point, but
yeah,
you can't allow that to happen.
Well, if you watch the film, which I know everybody in our building is, they're getting better every week, and I think it's important to watch each team and figure out where they are, and then where they've come from. And I think each week you've seen them progress in all areas. I thought they played really well last week. Played that game all the way to the end, into the fourth quarter, and so I think it's a team that has gotten a lot better. And like you said, they've lost some close games here recently. So we got to play our best, and that's as you know, we've mentioned all the time. We want to play our best every week, and so I think the guys understand that. When we go on the road, like this is a conference game against a team that's getting better every week, and we saw what they did last week. So we got to be on our game.
Brian, when you guys start to take commitments from kids that are more than a year away from signing, so 27, 28, what boxes do you guys want to have checks to let you know, hey, this is something we can feel comfortable about, especially with all that can change between now and this?
Yeah, I think every recruit is different in their own way, but we want to make sure that we get evaluations in a lot of areas. One, obviously, as a player, physically. Then like to watch the games, and then we do our backgrounds on their character, academically. Are they a fit? And then we try to project out based on their size, their age, how we think that they'll, look in a year, 2 years, 3 years. We like to think, we're right all the time, but we're not. We have to figure that out, and but you have to get on it. Now, I don't think anybody likes the idea of really recruiting these guys. I remember when I first started coaching, if you took a commitment from somebody who was like a junior, it was a huge deal. And now, it's just so much different. But if you don't do it, somebody else will. So we want to be aggressive and make sure we're bringing in the right people.
Spencer? Brian, I think Zion only played 2 defensive snaps. One of them teamed up on a sack. He teamed up with Kenyatta for a sack. And you have a guy who, you've seen some of the sample size, but the sample size is still so small. And in that, is making those plays. How do you balance, knowing that there's probably going to be some growing pains, but also wanting to get
I think that's the case for quite a few guys on the team, and so we know we're going to have to play depth. So the more we can get those guys in the game, the better. We go off what we see in practice, but then when you get into the game, you try to confirm what you see, and we want to play depth. So a lot of the guys who are out here at practice are earning those opportunities as the season's going on, and he's one of them.
Austin, yes. Ryan, are you seeing improvement in special teams the way you were a couple weeks ago, maybe Saturday?
Yeah, I think there's been good things, and then there's been some other things that have to get better. We're trying to get as many guys as we can on the field. We know that we have some good special teams players on the team, but it's a great opportunity for some of these younger players that we're talking about to get out in the field and cut their teeth and make mistakes and learn and grow. So, I think, again, I think it's been solid, but we always want to be better and be more explosive.
Ken McDonald, 8 tackles, which is pretty impressive for a nose tackle. What has enabled him to take that next step? How crucial was it?
He's a huge part of our defense. We say inside out, and he's the middle of it all. And he's every day getting better, more consistent, more experienced, more mature, just in his approach. And he's a very important guy on our defense, and his production has increased as the season's gone on. I think he understands the workload that it takes to play inside like that. It's just not something you show up and play a few snaps and then get out of there. I mean, it's an all-day sucker, and he played his most plays he played on Saturday, I think, in his career. So that was a great sign for him in terms of sustaining a high level of play.
Two more, Dan Hope.
It seems like Kenyatta had his best game of the season this past week. How have you seen him just grow as the season progressed?
More confident. I think in his heart he's always known that he can do it, but for him to actually physically do it, you can just see him grow more and more in his confidence in himself and his belief in himself. And everyone has their own journey along the way, and when they take that next step, you've seen him do that. You're seeing him producing on the field, and once you start seeing yourself on film make plays and you feel that, you then start playing with more conviction and playing faster and knowing that you can play with anybody in the country, and I think you're seeing that with him. So he knows that he's another guy on the D-line that we're all counting on, because he's the elder statesman in the room, and he's a leader, but his production is just as important.
Wrap it up with Tim May.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Right, just two quickies. Any update on the guards situation?
No update, though.
Yeah. Who is the fourth guard there if you have to go with somebody?
The fourth would be Gabe Van Sickle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then specifically Purdue's defense, what just concerns you about the way they play, et cetera? What's your take on this?
Yeah, it's not about concerns as much as it is what you recognize. I think you recognize a couple things with their defense. I think the first thing is, they played multiple defenses and really change up the looks a lot, probably more than most teams we've seen. They play hard. They're well coached. They know what they're doing. Usually when teams play multiple defenses, they're not as crisp and detailed in their work. I feel like they are. They run to the ball. So, that's the challenge that's at hand. And Barry, everywhere Barry's gone, he's been a great defensive coordinator. He and I have had conversations in the past about maybe, an opportunity here, going back a few years. And I just got a lot of respect for him, and they're playing really good defense, and they'll continue to play good defense. Everything they're doing is very sound and the right thing.
And Julian, he's catching on to that stuff. I mean, where would you rate him in that terms of just seeing what's happening?
Hard to rate him, but I do think, that his preparation has led him to play the way he's played, and now he needs to continue to do that. And that's the challenge. Okay, you can do it. What's led to success. Yeah. Now, can you consistently do it over and over and over again? And that's what makes the great ones, especially as you continue to, get higher and higher levels of football. We all know in the NFL, it's like the guys who can do it year in and year out. And, we're not there yet. You're just getting started. But, now we're getting into playoff football. And so it's just a level under the NFL. And we're getting to playoff football where, the looks are going to change. The scheme's going to change. There's film out there, so they're going to come after us. And so this is where the good stuff is.
All right, Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.